Coming up on We Want to Believe.
Just before I said let's wrap up, I heard a voice.
I swear that something touched the back of my neck.
Is there anyone here that wants to say hello to us?
I'd like to thank you for watching We Want to Believe and ask that if you enjoy our show, please subscribe to our channel right now, like this video, and click on the bell so you can be notified each time a new video goes up. Now back to the show.
Not now. I was like, okay, I better stay in town because we're going to lose Wi-Fi for Peter if we start.
Michelle drove us about 10 minutes out of Barkerville to the Richfield Courthouse, where a famed Judge Begbie would preside while making his rounds in various communities. He was a traveling judge.
Cool, lawyer. Oh yeah, Joseph Park actually is one of the most noted early lawyers. He took all of the information in the Goldfields Act, which was like tons of pages of just legality, and he reduced it down into like language that was understandable by the common man and published it in its own little volume. Wow. And pretty much every miner on Williams Creek of the 10,000 miners that were here would have that in their back pocket.
It was quiet. It was probably the quietest location yet in terms of where we were. All we could hear was the rain. There was no other sounds at all. No other people roaming about. Peter said this was ideal for EVP conditions. Both he and I took turns running EVP sessions, and Peter did a spirit box session. Once complete, Peter realized he had captured an EVP actually.
So a gentleman called Tim Sutherland, he was one of the staff there who actually, he dressed up like as Judge Begbie when people drive up to the top. Michelle, as we were driving up there, she got kind of a little bit emotional because she was very attached to Tim. Tim passed away a couple of years previously, I believe. She was very close to him by the sounds of all things as well, and I think the staff were there as well. So we were setting up, we went into the courthouse, freezing cold in there. It was like colder in there than what it was outside. Just before I said let's wrap up, I heard a voice. I heard, go away, please go away. And then I heard something else after that, and it very, very, very distinctive. Usually with things like that, when I capture things during that type of investigation, I take things away, and then I present it to the clients later, and it was like I presented it to Michelle, and she said that was Tim. That was something that Tim would say to people that would be visiting up there, just telling them to go away.
What's the story about the courthouse, Michelle?
So the Richfield Courthouse, Richfield was basically the first town that was established on Williams Creek. And the courthouse is where the circuit judges held their trials. His Lordship, Judge Matthew Bailey Begbie, which is a questionable subject, held court here. This particular building is a reproduction. The original courthouse burned down, and this one was built, I believe, in the 1960s. I can find that out for you. But yeah, the circuit judges held their courts here, and the title of hanging judge that Begbie was given had a lot more to do with the haranguing that he gave his jury if they gave what he felt was an unjust ruling, rather than the number of people that he hanged. There were only 2 people ever hanged at the courthouse up here.
Sitting here in the chair. You like me sitting in your chair? We got the phrase "go away" spoken in a man's voice. At this point, we were hesitant to tell this to Michelle, as she had lost a close friend named Tim Sutherland a few years ago, and he used to play Judge Begbie. And one of the phrases that he would say while in character was "go away." We weren't sure if this would upset Michelle at all, so we just kind of left it between ourselves as we headed back into Barkerville itself. Didn't really waste much time. It was pouring rain, it was cold.
This is intriguing. I know. So is this, I wonder if this is a couple been together.
So Bella was known for doing laundry. Her husband, apparently, she would get up, she was known as the earliest riser on the creek, and she would get her kettles boiling and rattle her pots, and her husband, Billy, would still be asleep, and he was known to just shout out, "Sleep, Bella, sleep!" And then when she passed on, in his grief, he wrote, in loving memory of Isabella Hodgkinson, aged 55 years, died October 5th, 1911. Sleep, Bella, sleep. In God we trust.
Is there anyone here that wants to say hello to us? Is there anyone that's passed on that wants to say hello to us?
Tired, wet, and cold, at this point, we decided to split the teams up. Peter and I would investigate together, and we had Kara do a roaming spirit box session through Barkerville with Mike following her with a camera.
Is there anybody out there?
Does anybody have anything to say to us?
Who is Mandor?
Were you one of the Mundorfs? Or did you work for the Mundorf in company?
Well, Peter and I ran into a security guard named Thomas who had an interesting story to tell, so we got him to tell that at the Masonic Lodge.
I only just started here this summer, back in June, and when I was doing my rounds, I was split up from my partner at the time. I went into the Masonic Hall, and as I was stepping up the little steps into the door there, I swear that something touched the back of my neck. It made all the hairs on my arms and everything stand up and gave me total goosebumps. I walked in, and still, every time I go into this place, and as many months later now, I still get this creepy feeling like somebody's watching me in there. And I really would prefer to be if I was going in there with somebody, but the nature of the beast is I'm by myself usually.
Are we allowed to go into that front little bit, Tom?
Maybe if you had a security guard with you.
Would you take us in there?
I would totally take you there, yes. Yeah.
Those stairs.
I was like, oh, whoa. And then I was thinking, you know what? I don't want to be in here right now. Something's telling me not to be here, but I gotta sign this stupid sheet.
Wow, crazy.
The all access pass.
So this would be the staircase here?
Nope, it'd be just like right inside here. I'll show you. Okay, I was coming in here. My partner was working across the way. I stepped up to about here, and I swore something touched and ran its finger down the back of my neck. I did the ooh, and then I got creeped out as I opened the door even more. As you see, it's pretty dark in here.
Yeah.
You gotta walk in, your light switch is like right here. And then we have to go in and do our rounds in here. I still, right now, even with you guys in here right now, I have this creepy feeling.
Interesting.
Is there anyone here that wants to come forward and say hello to us?
We were in the Masonic Lodge. Nothing really happened of note. We moved on to the post office to follow up on Michelle's story about seeing a figure inside a locked room.
It's funny that, isn't it?
But first we decided to share the EVP with her. Her expression and description how that made her feel made the entire trip, the long drive, the wet, the cold, the tired, very much worthwhile.
Okay, Michelle.
Yeah.
So, when we was up at the top, we was up in the courthouse.
Yeah.
I heard something, and I wasn't, because of the sensitivity with Tim, I didn't really want to play it back, but I don't think it was anything to do with that. But we got a voice that came through just as we were leaving.
Wow.
I'm going to play it back for you.
Okay.
1 second, just try and find out where it is.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's clear.
Wow.
Yeah, it's clear. Keep trading with my hands. The warmth is in the pocket.
Okay, so I say funny that, isn't it? And Carla says something else, and then you can hear something after that. You hear it?
It's a whisper.
Yeah.
It's like a whisper in the back.
Yeah, I can hear what it's. Well, I believe that my brain's interpreting what it's saying.
Same here, yeah.
Is it saying go away?
Yes.
Yes, that's exactly what it's saying. We heard that, I heard. We didn't tell each other what we thought we heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've heard the same thing.
Yeah.
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 Go away.
Go
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
There's some other things on here as well, which I'm going to go through. But what I want at the end of this, if I can get your email address,
Yeah, absolutely.
when I go through all of these, if I get anything else, I can just email it to you as well.
Ooh,
We're going to be sending everything to James anyway.
Yeah, but we'll have your address too.
Yeah. And then we'll send all of this stuff to you as well.
Cool.
Okay. You got your first EVP.
I did.
You broke your cherry.
That's true. I've never heard voice. My most strong experience with the paranormal was when I was in South America. I was working in Colombia when I was 20.
Yep.
And I'd been working at the prison in Bogota, and I was coming home, and they'd just won the quarterfinals for the World Cup.
Yep.
And the city had erupted. And I was freaked out about it because I was young, blonde, North American, walking through the inner city of Bogota. And I had about 3 blocks to walk from one bus stop to where I made the connection with the other one. And there were people everywhere, but nobody, as I was walking, nobody was bothering me. And I was like, okay, this is good, this is good. And as I got near the bus stop, there's the big street lights, right? So I'm walking, and I walk past them, and of course the light is then casting, and I see my shadow, and I see 2 huge shadows beside me, one on either side.
Jesus.
Yeah.
But no one there?
Nobody, nope.
Someone overlooking you, protecting you.
Totally. Yeah. And I had prayed to Jesus as I got off the bus on the one side going, please let me make it safe to the other side.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Huge, like at least that much bigger than me on either side.
That's amazing.
It was amazing. It was
Good. Anyway, carry on.
Yes.
Our EVP and Spirit Box session at the post office didn't amount to much, although we were quite startled when the furnace kicked in at an opportune moment.
So, if there is... What is that?
That's the heater.
Oh.
That's at perfect timing. So if
While we visited these locations, Mike and Kara visited several throughout Barkerville, including a school, a library, a bakery.
Who is Mundorf?
Were you one of the Mundorfs? Or did you work for the Mundorf and Company?
Livery and food. Sounds pleasant livery.
They picked up the odd voice on Kara's spirit box.
How many horses were in the stable? How many horses were in the stable?
Male voice.
Can you please repeat how...
And some comments that could be considered intelligent, but it's really hard to tell, just from the footage and not having been there ourselves.
The step, right?
Jesus.
The long fall.
Once we regrouped, Peter and I set up motion cameras in the Barkerville Hotel, upstairs hallway, and also in the post office, aimed at a door, before we returned to Wells for the night. We returned the next morning to Barkerville to gather equipment and make the 6-hour drive back. Upon reviewing our footage, though, we got more than we bargained for. The camera we'd left set up at the post office captured the shadowy image of a man, and it was impossible for anyone to have entered the room without setting off the camera. Also, one of the cameras in the hotel hallway was moved several inches without anyone being caught on camera moving it. It moved on its own. Literally, you can see how it was in one spot in some pictures and then it had shifted.
You can see it by the side of the camera. It appears that there was someone standing in the doorway on the side there, and it looks like they had some kind of watch on as well, because you can see kind of a silver thing as well. Kind of weird. It was controlled. I was aware at that time there was no one in the building.
It's weird. I guess there's enough... I guess there's enough natural... I guess...
A friend of mine, I was at his place for dinner last night, and I told him about hearing Go Away. And he just started laughing because Tim Sutherland passed away in 2015, and he used to play Judge Begbie. And he had a persona that he would put on with his colleagues before the tourists would arrive. And when he could say tourists come up the hill, the first thing he would say is, "Go away!" in jest. So I take that as a little high from Tim.
And of course, Tim playing the judge was always up at the courthouse that we were at where we got the EVP.
Yes, that's right. That's where he resided for many years in Barkerville and as an interpreter, and still has a bench up there and is visited every year by those of us to remember him on the anniversary of his death. So to hear that up in the courthouse yesterday was pretty amazing.
By far, out of all of our investigations, the post office shot and the self-moving camera are among the most compelling bits of evidence we've ever found since doing this show, and it's documented on images that you'll see right there. So suffice to say, we'll be returning to Barkerville again.